Oh, you've hit me with a good one. What does it take to be a pro wrestler? Endurance. This is not an old man sport. No offence to people that are.
Determination. I've seen some really talented people, come into wrestling that don't have the determination to do well with those talents, and they just fade away.
You've got to be quite determined. You're going to get hurt a lot of times. Like, you can't really dwell on pain. You just got to keep moving through it. Just keep being determined. Just going after it. Keep on learning.
You've got to miss out on family time. You've got to be so strict with your diet. You've got to be going up and down the country all the time.
Tom Hines is a civil servant and a senior complaints investigator. He's been wrestling for over 8 years, and while these things don't normally line up, it works for him.
Yeah, so they love it. I've had people from work come and watch me. They always ask me about it. Whenever it comes up, because you have to do any office job, you have to do the little team building games. So it's 2 truths, 1 lie. So it's always something I bring up there. I've even used it in job interviews before, and I've brought it up, and it always gets a reaction and always gets a discussion going and helps feed the flow. And I was not my last one, but the last job application beforehand, the person who I said it to had actually been to local wrestling shows. So we ended up spending the first 10 minutes talking about wrestling in my interview. So it was, and I got that job. So clearly it does help. When I'm in the ring, it's much more, everything's turned up. I like to play up to the crowd and be get a bit more of a negative reaction, because that helps spur me on. So I would say I turn up all my negative characteristics. So all the brassness, the ego, the cockiness, that's what I kind of turn up, and that's what I let go to that next level when I'm in the ring. Whereas when I'm at work, of course, I'm professional, I'm courteous of everybody else. Sometimes you've got to have that control of if I'm in the wrestling mindset and somebody says something, and automatically my wrestling brain will trigger a natural reaction. And sometimes you just got to catch that and say, actually, no, I'm not in that role at the minute. I'm not in that place. Shut your mouth and just smile and nod. I just love wrestling. That's the bottom line. It's something I've been interested in ever since I was a kid. It's just something it's just what I love doing.
16-year-old Liam Brian Leach was 8 when he was suspended from school due to behavioural issues. He now attends a special education needs school for ADHD and autism, and has found wrestling has given him belonging.
Yeah, when I was younger, I used to get bullied a lot, and then even when I started to move schools, it used to happen on the street a lot. I remember one time some mate of mine randomly snapped at me one day, and he started bullying me for weeks, to the point where I think that was one of the main reasons I started coming here. I used to come to our House of Pain centre shows every month, and then I don't know, at some point which made me click. I went, I really want to do this. I started joining our kids' classes. There was one came down on a Sunday, and then I guess the rest is history, if that makes sense. Not to sound too cliche. It clearly helped in some way, but I cannot explain how. I can't for the life of me. I think it's mainly because, if I could give one reason, when we're in lessons, there's a lot of times where sticks will be talking about what we're going through, what we're going to be learning today, and I think because I actually enjoy this, I pay attention to it. It's oh, okay, nice. But at school, you're oh, maths. I don't care about the square root. I cannot tell you the thrill of being so I was never been so nervous in my life doing something. And then you walk through that curtain and it all goes away. Every part of it goes away. I remember I walked back through the curtain after the match, and I'd never been so happy in my life. remember I was telling a couple of people, like, this is easily the best day of my life.
Wrestling has provided Leo with a sense of family, despite having a difficult upbringing.
So my dad, he left from birth as far as I'm concerned. I will be the last person to tell you I've definitely made father figures here, and wouldn't trade that for the world. I strongly believe I would be in a much worse way without wrestling. In the past 2 years, I've never felt so, I don't want to say alive because that seems too generic, but I've never felt so great. This is the only place I felt like I fit in. Me nana used to tell me a lot, like, do what you want to do, like, do what you love to do, and this is definitely it.
Paul Grint, known by the ring name Styx, wrestled on the independent circuit for over a decade. Paul became the head coach of the House of Pain Academy in 2006, helping others rise through the ranks just as he once did.
I was always quite a big person, and I think with that, you know, you kind of get in your head, you know, it's like, why was I made, you know, this size, you know? Maybe I was meant to, like, use my size, my height, you know, to do something. And then when I started watching wrestling, I think it just clicked, you know, something clicked. And I think me being able to understand it quite early on kind of put me in the eye line of some people that wouldn't necessarily have looked at me had I not already got it, like, quite quickly. And then through that, the confidence grew, you know, and actually affected my outside of wrestling life, you know, made me more confident in every situation. And that's one of the main things that I love about teaching now, you know, is seeing that shy person come in and day by day, week by week, month by month, just getting more and more confident. I think wrestling 90% of the time attracts a certain type of individual, you know, and a lot of those individuals aren't what you would call outgoing and, you know, super confident people, but that doesn't mean that they can't become that. I didn't ever envision that I was going to make a full-time living out of being a teacher. That was never on the table, but I'm certainly not going to turn it down, because going back to my younger self, all I ever wanted to do was make a living out of wrestling. And for the past 15 years, I've been able to do that. Me and my wife, we made a decision that doing what we love is more beneficial than money.
Transgender female Aisling Watts started wrestling a year ago and has found that wrestling has given her newfound confidence.
I didn't really know about what trans people was till I was like 16, like, 'cause I was watching a documentary and I just seen a bunch of these people who seemed to be talking about things that I'd been feeling pretty much as far as I could remember, and I'm like, you know, maybe I'm like kind of like them, and that's what really sent me down, sort of, you know, thinking that, you know, it probably would be best for me to, like, at least look into it and start thinking about transitioning. I used to do this thing where I wasn't really comfortable talking to my parents, and so if I had like something that I needed to tell them, I'd like, even though I lived in the same house, I'd write them a letter about it, and I'd like leave the letter for them to read. So that's basically what I did, was as far as like coming out as trans to my parents, and yeah, they was very supportive of it. I just set a date, this is the day I'm going to start, you know, going out wearing women's clothes, and that's basically how it started. From there, I went on a NHS waiting list to, like, you know, start their medical transition. It just felt like living in limbo. I was like, that was the point of my time where I was like very much a recluse and not leaving the house or anything, from like 17 to around 21 years old. You just feel like your life's on pause at that point. Just for things in general, just to have role models who are, you know, gone through the same things that other people are going through, and then just someone to look up to and just know that, you know, things do get better, you can be happy, you can go out there and do the things that you enjoy. When you're just about to go out and like you've got a bunch of people behind the curtain, and you know, you've got the butterflies building up in you, bit by bit, every time I step out and go into the ring and perform, I just become more and more confident, not just in the ring, but just within life in general. It's really good at confidence building and just knowing that I have people out there who support me. I find that if I'm like having a really stressful day and I've got a match or I've got like a lesson on that same day, then I do tend to perform a lot better in the ring when I'm angry at something. Normally quite like shy, retiring, sort of, probably come across as like quite timid, but then I turn into the character and I'm just like, I don't really care what anyone thinks. There could always be more. There's enough for the climate right now. I think, you know, as we move forward and trans people become more and more accepted, I can see like there being more trans people just visible like everywhere.
Outside the squared circle, Aisling writes novels and often visits a park in Mansfield to write them. She says it offers another outlet to express herself.
Especially on a nice day like this, just like really peaceful, and just something about the outside air that just like gets the mind running. In times when I felt like I was a bit cooped up, it gave me like license to just like get out and about within my own head, sort of thing. Yeah, it's one of the things like just from just doing lots of writing that people who knew me told me that maybe I should like put it into writing a book rather than, you know, just writing random Facebook statuses and stuff.
For these wrestlers, wrestling is more than just a theatrical showcase. It allows them to express themselves and be a part of a community that they feel accepted in.
I don't get as excited about face paint and tassels, etc. But you know, the adrenaline's still very much there.
It's the kind of hobby where you never really stop learning.
Like the physicality of it, I love the theatrics of it, I love everything about it.
Yeah, I love pro wrestling. So all I can say about it, really.